tells me I have a code board meeting. Yeah, no, I have the telephone shut off. But I have all my schedules in here. That's what it is.
It's 2 o'clock and the Code Enforcement Board meeting is called to order. Bobby, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Weeks?
Here.
Ms. Wade? Here. Ms. Dabbs? Here. Mr. Kramer?
Here.
Mr. Robinson?
Here.
Thank you.
We're not done yet.
Ms. Norfleet? Here. Sorry. Mr. DeMassis?
Here.
And Mrs. Talliard? Here. Thank you. That completes your roll call. Sorry.
Thank you. The Board Attorney will now give us the invocation and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Heavenly Father, we seek blessings on the task before us today. Bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, our work with clarity and accuracy, and our decisions with impartiality. We pray that our work this afternoon will find favor in your sight. This we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's the intention of this board to promote, protect, and improve health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Tarpon Springs by providing an equitable, effective, and inefficient, do that every time, inexpensive method of enforcing various codes within the city of Tarpon Springs. Any agitated party must appeal a final administrative order to the board of the circuit court. Such an appeal shall be filed within 30 days of the execution of the order to be appealed. Florida Statute 286.0105 requires any party appealing a decision of this board to have record of the proceedings and to support such an appeal. The procedure of the board is as follows. First, the city presents its witnesses and exhibits, after which the alleged violator is able to ask the city witnesses any specific questions regarding their testimony. Secondly, the alleged violator is allowed to make a presentation and present his or her witnesses and exhibits. Then the city can question the alleged violator's witnesses. After both rounds of testimony, both on the part of the city and on the part of the alleged violator, each party is asked to give a closing argument, first by the city and then by the alleged violator. After those three steps are taken, this board will close the public hearing portion of the case to discuss it, to take appropriate action. Before we begin the public hearings, we will have all potential witnesses stand up and be sworn in by the secretary of the board. If you will, please.
Anyone going to speak?
Anybody that's going to speak?
Raise your right hand. Face the clerk.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You can be seated.
As a reminder, please turn off your cell phones or silence them. First, new business is 18-800000985, 615 Jasmine Avenue. Is anybody here for that case?
Yes.
Radio down. Thank you. Good afternoon. Officer Steve Gasson, City of Tarpon Springs Police Department Code Enforcement. Case before the board's 18-800000895. Property address is 615 North Jasmine Avenue, owned by Lindy Akos Properties Incorporated. Exhibit number 1 going before the board are all of the photographs for this case. Exhibit number 2, all my notices, including the notice of violation and notice of hearings. Exhibit number 3, administrative documents, including a case summary, property appraiser, and tax collector records, and any associated emails. Exhibit number 4 is the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. All my notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collector websites. and databases. All notice of violations and notice of hearing are sent both return receipt as well as first-class mail. And Mr. Chairman, please accept all these exhibits into the record as evidence.
Bobby, please do so.
Yes, sir.
I've had multiple conversations with Mr. Lindiakos, Manuel Lindiakos, who owns the property. You can see up on the board, it's a pretty substantial size of property. It's on the north side of the cemetery. It's kind of an industrial-ish area. What the original complaint on December 13th of last year came in as was the dumpster area was full of trash. We got it through the sanitation department through the city because Waste Management was having a problem getting the dumpster in and out. We went and conducted an inspection on the property and found that it has a huge number of cars parked all over the place, almost being treated like a salvage yard. We went back and forth with planning and zoning to determine their zoning and their uses and allowed uses, and there's a long history with this property changing uses and allowed uses, and frankly, we kind of ran into a little bit of a roadblock to determine whether or not it's industrial, commercial, residential, soon to be both, don't know. So what we ended up with is more or less the commercial business that's there works on vehicles, and he's not storing his merchandise basically properly. On top of it, he had some trash issues and some debris issues, which you can see in the pictures. So that was basically what the forming of this case was. So moving forward, as I stated, I conducted my initial inspection on December 13th of last year. On the 17th of December last year, the notice of violation was mailed. We did get a return receipt signed by that. I conducted a reinspection February 9th of 2019. The dumpster area had been cleaned up, but there were still numerous inoperable, unregistered vehicles in various states of work, if you will. Talked to the owner. In order to store this type of equipment, they need to have a 6-foot opaque fence to store the equipment behind. It's one of the conditions of the ordinance. February 12th, I had sent him an amended notice of violation. We had changed around some of the coding and ended up with, 57.00 under the city code is what we actually cited him with, as well as 8-40 and 8-52. I conducted another inspection on March 13th. The vehicles were still a problem. There's no fencing been installed. And then unfortunately, at this point, the dumpster area was full of trash again. So we kind of went and revisited the dumpster area. On March 12th, we mailed a notice of hearing, potentially for the April Code Board. I posted the property the first time on March 29th, but then we ended up deferring that April Code Board hearing. So I conducted another inspection on April 26th. The cars are still on site. And at that point, we determined we're going to post it again and send another notice of hearing for this hearing today. I conducted my final inspection yesterday. If you look at the back of the pack, there were some photographs that were taken yesterday, or actually this morning, about 4 or 5 hours ago. Still numerous vehicles there. I have spoken to Mr. Lindiakos. He has pulled a city permit for a fence. As you can see, it's a pretty substantial amount of property. So he's working, he's got the contractor, he's just working on timing. That will basically put him into compliance once he gets the fence. I told him, because we've deferred this and we've gone back and forth and we're 9 months, 8-9 months into the case, we're going to go ahead and hear it at Code Board, which he understood. His only statement was, can you see if I can get 60 days? So that's basically been our conversation. He's well aware of the issue. Some of it's his tenants or his tenant. Almost all those cars belong to the one mechanic that's in there. Up until a couple of days ago, Mr. Lindiakos didn't realize he could tow those vehicles away. As you can appreciate, I think there's upwards of about 20 vehicles, so there's also kind of a cost associated with towing them all away as well. So he's trying not to do that, but he's also trying to fix the problem. He just needs a little bit of time. So what's before the board right now, as I stated, was 57.00, which is the outdoor storage of commercial equipment, which would be all those vehicles. One of the requirements of that code is that it has to be behind a 6-foot opaque fence. He should have that problem solved within the 60 days. The accumulation of trash, when I went out there this morning, seemed to be in pretty good shape around the dumpster. So that one's not before the board right now. And then 840 and 852 kind of just keep on top of the property, keep it clean, and then the debris and things like that, because there's engines and things like that associated with the cars out there. So that kind of falls under the debris definition under 852. So before the board's 840, 852, and 57.00 for your consideration. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, which number did you withdraw from here?
I withdrew 8-22. So it was just 840, 852, and 57.00.
Does the board have any questions for Officer Gasson?
No, the only one resolved is 8-22. So the other three are for your consideration.
Not listed there. The three that are listed are ones that are still under consideration. Is that not correct?
Yes, because, yeah, I don't see your sheet, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
I'd like to make a motion if there's no other discussion.
Can I just finish looking at the evidence?
Hang on, just,
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's a lot of pictures.
Go ahead.
can you go ahead and summarize what you've said?
I don't have anything to add.
Okay.
Okay. I move based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented in law that at the time of the alleged violations, sections 8-40, 8-52, and 57.00 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Tarpon Springs were in force and effect. The respondent was in violation thereof.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Would you do a roll call, please, Bobby?
Yes, sir. Mr. DeMasis?
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet? Yes. Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mrs. Dabbs? Ms. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Motion carries.
So the second part of this is to come up with another motion,
I move,
To make a motion.
okay?
I move that the respondent shall have until July 11th, 2019, to bring the property into compliance with the code sections or suffer a fine of $25 per day for each day thereafter the respondent remains in violation of said code sections. And if you need it for the record, it's again 8-40, 8-52, and 57.00.
could I make one possible adjustment? We have 2 holiday times during that, and I wondered if we might modify that just in case he has trouble with permitting and workers with the 2 holidays in there.
I certainly don't have a problem. I'd be happy to adjust it based on your suggestion. And if the chairman has no problem with it, I'll modify my motion and make it July 18th.
Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Close, and we need a second.
Second?
Bobby, would you do a roll call, please?
Mr. DeMasis?
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
No.
Mrs. Dabbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-1.
Now we move to number 8, a repeat violator in violation from 4/16 to 2019 to 4/28, 2019, 13 day. 19-8000263. It's a vacant lot on Cedar, parcel number 12/27/15/736/74/0000070.
Thank you. Officer Steve Gasson, City of Tarpon Springs Police Department, Code
Hang on a
Enforcement.
second, Steve.
Oh, sorry.
Is there anyone here for this case?
No,
Okay.
but this one does have a letter from him attached.
Okay.
Good to go?
Yeah.
Thank you. Case number 19-8000263. It's a vacant lot just east of 523 Cedar Street, owned by Stanley or Demetrios Kavoris. She stated the parcel number 12/27/15/73 3674-000-0070. It's a repeat violator for a period of 13 days. It was previously established under a couple of cases. The first case was 2018 8000424 for a violation of City Code 8-40 and 852. And then once again, this board heard it in 2018 under 18-80000835. Again, the same violation codes 8-40 and 852. Exhibit number 1 going before the board are all my photographs. Exhibit 2, the notices of hearing and notice of violations. Exhibit number 3, administrative docs, case summary, property appraiser and tax collector records, and any associated emails. Exhibit 4 is the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign, and exhibit number 5 is the affidavit of prosecution costs. All the notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collector databases. All my notice of violations and notice of hearing are sent via return receipt as well as first-class mail. And, Mr. Chairman, please accept these into the record as evidence.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions for Officer Gaspar?
Not done yet.
He's got more testimony.
I was just making sure you're accepting those into evidence.
Okay. Bobby, will you accept these as they come down to you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
My case started on April 16th of this year about the property being overgrown on the vacant lot. I did inspect it on that day, and we mailed the repeat violator notice of hearing. We did not get a return receipt, but as stated, we did get contact via email from the property owner. On April 26th, I posted the property, and on May 3rd, I was asked to re-inspect the property, and it was found to be in compliance. Because he had contacted our office on April 28th, as you guys are pretty much well aware by now, I'll go back to that date they contact us, even though I did do the inspection a few days later. So it was in compliance, and we used the date of April 28th for that compliance date, because that's when he called us and said he was in compliance. So the property was grossly overgrown once again. I know from his email, he stated he had some issues with vendors. And this seems to be generally the main conversation that goes with this property is I have problems with my vendors. I had problems with my maintenance workers. You know, the thing about it is I typically don't bring up the prior cases, but the mere fact that there's an excess of 20 of them in the last like 15 years, all for the exact same violation, other people are able to take care of it. I mean, I get you got a vendor problem, but, you know, this one is, and apparently it's watched, and we get frequent complaints on the property, and it was pretty substantially overgrown. I must say, though, the last vendor he got did an amazing job and actually cleared the whole property. It was one of the better ones I'd seen yet. So what's basically before the board again is a violation of the same code sections, 8-40, duty to maintain private property, and 8-52, the nuisance prohibitions would deal with maintaining your private property, your lot, and overgrowth. As stated before, it was for a period of 13 days under those 2 prior cases. And I have nothing further.
Does the board have any questions for the staff?
I have a question. Yes, sir. Can you give us the total of what the fine is at present?
At present is up to you guys. I can tell you previously he'd been fined per day.
That's fine.
And that one's on this. It was both of the prior ones where he was fined was $150 a day. One of them was for a period of 1 day. The other one amassed a fine of $2,026.50, which I don't know. I don't know the status of the fines.
So you're saying it's up to us to determine what the fine should be for this period when he was, when the property was in non-compliance?
That is correct, sir.
All right, thank you.
Oh, yeah, they're both paid. Sorry, they've all been paid. So he's not outstanding fines.
I have
Public
no other
portion of the case is closed. We're ready to entertain a motion.
I move that based on the evidence, facts presented in law, that the respondent, Kavoris, was in violation of sections 8-40 and 8-52 of the Tarpon Springs City Code from April 16th to April 28th of 2019. That's a time of 13 days. and a fine of $50 per day for those 13 days. In addition, I move that the city be awarded $84 for the costs incurred in prosecuting the case.
Can I get a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Mr. Kramer seconded it. Discussion? Ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Mr. Demasis?
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mrs. Dabbs? Ms. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next item on the agenda is number 9, a repeat violator and violation from 4/18 to 4/22, 5 days. 19-800000268, 303 South Pinellas Avenue, Sanford Fuel LLC.
Is anyone here for this case?
Yes, sir.
Okay, step over there, sir.
If you would you give us your name and your relationship to the property?
Yes, sir. Name is Wasim Abbas, and I'm a manager of the property.
Okay. Do you want to start?
Yes. Officers. Oh, the photographs.
Are you okay with the evidence that the city has being placed?
Yeah, he
in?
good. Yeah,
Yeah, fine.
it's good.
All right. Officer Steve Gasson, City of Tarpon Springs Police Department Code Enforcement. This is case number 19-800000268. Property address is 303 South Pinellas Avenue, owned by company Sanford Fuel LLC. As stated, it's a repeat violator case from April 18th, 2019 to April 22nd of 2019 for a period of 5 days. It was previously found by this board and established under case 18-969 for violations of City Code 8-22, 840, 852, and 40.00. That previous case has been complied, and the prosecution costs were paid on it. Going before the board is exhibit number 1, which is the photographs. Exhibit number 2, the notice of violation and notice of hearings. Exhibit number 3, administrative docs, case summary, property appraiser and tax collector records, and any associated emails. Exhibit number 4 is the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign, and exhibit number 5 is the affidavit of prosecution costs. All the photographs and exhibits are given to the violator are exact copies of what's being presented to this board. All my notices were mailed to the property owner of record based on the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collector databases. All my notice of violations and notice of hearing are sent, return, receipt, as well as first-class mail. And, Mr. Chairman, please accept all these exhibits into the record as evidence.
Bobby, would you accept those into the record, please?
Yes, sir.
The board have any questions for Officer Gasson?
I'm not done yet.
Oh, geez.
That's just the part where the evidence is taken care of. I have had substantial contact with the owner. We've met at the property a couple times, and he's been in communication with our office. He's pretty good at communication. On April 18th, I conducted the initial inspection. There was trash and debris on the east side of the building. This inspection came as a result of a police officer. One of our officers had gone out there for an unrelated to debris and trash and found some people trespassing in one of his off buildings. This previous case was for a different address owned by the same company, so that's why it's established as a repeat violator. So just so you guys understand, this particular address, this is the first case, but it's associated by the same company with a couple of properties that they own, and they're all very close to each other. They're all in the same block. So, as I stated, there was trash and debris on the east side of the building. There was trash outside the building. We had reports of people living inside the building with no water or electricity, and there was an extension cord running from the building across the alley to another building to provide power to, which is basically a storage building, but it does have a city address. On April 19th, the repeat violator notice of hearing was mailed. We did get the green card back signed by the registered agent. I conducted a reinspection based on a phone call prompting us to do so, and on April 23rd, which was when it was found to be in compliance, which was a day after they had called and requested the reinspection. So it actually came into compliance on April 22nd. Posted the property on April 26th, and as I stated, all the violations are currently in compliance, but it is a violation of City Code 8-22, 8-40, and 8-52, which were also similar, same codes from the previous case under 18-969. And as you can see from the photographs, the amount of trash was piled up on the east side of the building, and there were chairs and other debris outside. And it just continued to stack up. I don't know if it was, he does have a problem with some people getting in there. He's addressed those problems since. He's been working with the police department, get trespass authorization. Obviously, he's not there 24/7. So we're trying to help him out to keep basically abate the problem and keep it in check. And he's, like I said, he's been very responsive about taking care of the issues. But he did get tangled up in the fact that he was a repeat violator for the other property, so this one came into that same boat. So as I stated, he was a repeat violator for those 5 days, and the city has nothing else.
Does the board have any questions for Officer Gasky? Do you have any questions, sir,
No,
for
sir,
Officer
like I
Gasky?
say, officer already mentioned, we really have a hard time people hanging around, you know. Someday even they try to sleep inside the store bathroom. We have to check like a daily basis, make sure before we lock the door, they're not inside. Because when we bought this property, we came in, we start to lock a door without checking because we're not used to it, like that situation. And at like a midnight, they start walking around inside the store and motion get active, and we have to come in and get them out. It's kind of that people, you know, hanging around. So I do have a piece of paper from police office, and I'm gonna fill it up. They want me to, you know, notarize, so return them back so they can see someone, so they can trespass. So I will do that definitely, and I will request to everybody if you guys can let me go, cause that's a different property. The property I had a problem, officer mentioned before I was here. I'm taking care of it really good, no problem. But this one is a new, so I request you guys if you can let me go, not paying no fine, cause I already pay some fine and it's come out from my pocket. Owner don't pay for, I pay for.
Does the board have any questions for the owner? Do you have any questions?
I do not.
I have a procedural question. Would it be better to separate these when we make our motions, since some are complied and some are just being generated?
So what he's saying is that, well, is the 822, is that a new violation?
For this address it is.
Shouldn't be.
So,
No, he was established under all of the 822, 840, and 852. He's in compliance of everything right now, but all of those ordinances were under the repeat violator case. So nothing is new and separate.
okay, so they're all in compliance, and so just that you've got two of these code sections that were marked as complied on April 23rd. All three of them should be marked as complied on April 23rd.
That is correct, yes.
Okay, that's where the
Okay, I'm
confusion
sorry.
lies.
Okay.
Thank you. So they've already been established.
Correct.
We're going to close the public portion of this case, and we would entertain a motion. Okay.
I move based on the testimony, evidence, facts presented, and law that the respondent Sanford Fuel was in violation of sections 8-22, 8-40, and 8-52 from 4/18 of 2019 to 4/22 of 2019, and a fine of $25 per day for the 5 days, which makes a total fine of $125. In addition, I move that the city be awarded $69.50 for the costs incurred in prosecuting the case.
Second.
Bobby, could you call a roll, please?
Mr. Demosas,
Yes.
excuse me, Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Dabbs, Ms. Wade,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks.
Yes.
Motion carries.
You want me to summarize that?
Sure.
Okay. So, sir,
Yes, sir.
Sanford Fuel LLC has been found in violation again for 5 days, repeat violation. You've been fined $25 a day for 5 days, a total of $125. The board has also awarded the city its cost of $69.50. So those dollar amounts can be paid to the city collector's office. There will be an order entered. It'll be ordered in the next 10 days, and it'll be mailed to you at the address listed with the tax collector's address.
Okay, sir.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Affidavits of non-compliance, 18-800000644, 1017 Beaver Drive.
I move we accept the affidavit of non-compliance in that case number and award the city $142 in prosecution costs.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next one is 18-800000854, 785 Dodecan East Boulevard.
I move we accept the affidavits of non-compliance in that case and award the city $156.50 in prosecution costs.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Same sign, opposed. Motion carries. Catching up. Seven,
You need to move back one page. We're on item 12.
number 12, affidavits of compliance. Apologize. 16-800000604. It's a vacant lot on Island Drive.
I move we accept the affidavit of compliance in that case.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 13, 18-800000421, 58 Reed Street.
I move we accept the affidavit of compliance in that case and award the city $166.50 in prosecution costs.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Number 14, 18-800000585, 100 North Ring Avenue.
I move we accept the affidavits of compliance in that case number and award the city $142 in prosecution costs.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Same sign opposed. Motion carries. 19-8000017, 1708 Fox Run Drive.
I move we accept the affidavit of compliance in that case and award the city $156.50 prosecution costs.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We now are in old business, fine reduction request 16-800000604. Is there anybody here for this case?
Oh, it's the next one, sorry.
So you're going to review the petition for fine reduction that you have in front of you, not to take any additional testimony, and make your decision based solely upon the written petition.
I'd like to
question?
make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that the city reject, or the board reject the fine reduction request in regards to this case.
Second.
Been accepted, seconded, and a motion made and seconded. Bobby, would you call roll, please, on this one?
Yes. Mr. Demosas?
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mrs. Dabbs?
That was a yes.
Was it yes? I'm sorry, I did not hear. Sorry about that. Ms. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Motion carries to deny.
Another fine reduction request, 17-8000781, 455 East Tarpon Avenue. If you would step up to the mic, please. Board have any questions for the respondent? I'm ready. Has the board read the material and is ready to make a motion?
Got it.
Does the board have anything that they want to talk about in this request?
Is there someone present that can, again, express the city's position? And would that be allowable to hear that testimony?
Yes, under your rule and under the statute, you can ask questions. But otherwise, he needs to respond or she needs to respond to the specific question and not carry on and give any narrative answer in addition to that.
I'd just like to determine what the city's position is, what the recommendation.
That was part of the,
It's in your documents there somewhere.
Okay, that hasn't changed at all?
no.
All right, that's fine. I see it, and I saw it earlier, but I just
Yeah,
wanted to make
yeah.
sure that there was no change.
Well, I'm just gonna be a softie for a minute, if I may. I think these people went through a lot, and I think they made best efforts under circumstances. I don't know if anybody else will agree with me, but just in what I read, and I was here very early today because they had other work to do, so I read all of this thoroughly. I think the $8,092.50 is the fine. Again, I'm gonna be soft and I'm gonna say that I'd like to see that cut in half.
And you followed the timeline on this?
Yep.
And just because somebody owns a property out of state,
No, it's not even what I read. I know the old property and,
did they
yeah.
get a different thing than what we've
No.
done locally?
Well, that's my opinion,
I understand.
yeah. One guy,
Is that a motion? Or
No.
an opinion?
no, not opinion. So I'll allow somebody else to tell me if I'm wrong by making a motion.
Well, I, for one, have no problem with making a reduction. I don't think that it should be any more than half, so I would certainly agree with your suggestion, and again, that's just my opinion. I think that there was some lapse on the part of the property owners, but I think that there was also a certain amount of attempt to get through a very boggled situation, and I think that your recommendation is one that I certainly could support.
Could we have a repeat of the rules for reducing the fines, please, Mr. Trapp?
Sure. I'm going to read from your rules of procedure. This is Rule 5, Section 4. After a fine has been imposed by the board and within 60 days after the violation is brought into compliance, a violator may petition for reconsideration of a fine. The petition must be in writing, signed by the violator, and include a copy of the affidavit of compliance executed by the code inspector. Petition must show conclusive evidence showing extreme or undue hardship in the payment of the fine or preventing the violator to come into compliance within the time period established by the board's order. The board secretary shall schedule the petition to be considered, and the board shall make its determination based solely upon the written petition. The board may request information from the code inspector. The board secretary shall notify the violator by regular mail the determination made by the board. No petition for reduction of fine will be considered prior to the board's acceptance of an affidavit of compliance. Under no circumstances may the amount of the fine be reduced below the costs of the action. Under no circumstances may the amount of the fine be reduced once a foreclosure action is instituted. Additionally, under no circumstances may the amount of the fine for the repeat violation be reduced. That was the reading of your rule in its entirety.
Did you read the last sentence? I'm sorry.
The last sentence was, additionally, under no circumstances may the amount of the fine for a repeat violation be reduced.
Mr. Gasson, is this a repeat violator?
No, it's not.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion. Don't have. You can make it into a motion?
I make a motion that the fine in this case be reduced to $4,092.50.
It's been, motion's been made and seconded. Bobby, would you make a roll call, please?
I'm sorry, could you tell me the number that was reduced to again? I apologize, I got the four.
Oh, sorry.
$4,092.50,
Thank you, sir.
made by Mr. Kramer.
Yes, sir.
And
It was seconded by Mrs. Wade.
Yes,
correct.
Mrs.
No, I
Dabbs.
did not.
Mrs. Dabbs.
Mrs. Dabbs,
Dabbs,
okay, I
yeah.
apologize, I can't see down there.
Okay, roll call would be Mr. Demasis,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
No.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Dabbs. Yes. Ms. Wade,
No.
Mr. Weeks.
no.
It carries 4-3.
Motion carries.
I'll summarize. So the fine has been reduced to $4,092. You'll get an order within the next 10 days that reflects that reduction of fine from $8,092.50. And you can pay the city clerk's office during normal business hours.
Do we have,
They have not put a deadline on that for you. I can tell you that under state statute, if it's not paid within 90 days, it gives the city the opportunity to begin foreclosure proceedings. So I would do it within the next 90 days.
okay, thank you.
Is there any other business to come before the board?
Do we have any minutes? I
Do
didn't
we have
see
any minutes this time, Bobby? No.
Okay.
No minutes?
No public comments.
Any public comments? Okay. We are done.
Wow.
Yeah, we're getting good at it.
Go home.